3 weeks from now, I'm going to watch through their own security cameras as 20 scammers realize someone's been watching them back. They're going to panic. Some will run. Others will cry. One guy's going to try smashing the cameras with his bare hands, but right now, none of them know I exist. It started with a phone call from my aunt on a Tuesday afternoon. She was freaked out, talking fast about how her computer screen had frozen with a giant warning message claiming her bank account was being hacked. The pop-up gave her a number to call for immediate technical support. "Did you call it?" I asked, already knowing this was bad. "No, I called you first. Should I?" That decision probably saved her $500. Maybe more. She sent me a screenshot. The warning looked official enough to fool anyone who wasn't paying close attention. Fake Microsoft logo, urgent red text, the whole setup designed to trigger fear. Classic tech support scam. I'd heard about these, but I'd never actually traced one before. The phone number led me to a website called TechGuard Pro Solutions. Professional design, customer testimonials with stock photo faces, even fake certification badges that looked legit if you didn't click through to verify them. Whoever built this put serious money into making it look real. Most people would have reported it and moved on. But something bothered me. Why invest this much effort into a scam website? How many victims were they hitting to make it worth the cost? I decided to find out. First, I set up a virtual machine, basically a fake computer running inside my real one. But if these scammers tried anything nasty, they'd only mess with the fake system, not my actual files. Then I called their support number from a burner phone app. "Thank you for calling TechGuard Pro. My name is Michael. How can I help you today?" Not Michael. The accent made that clear. But I played along. "Yeah, hi. My computer's running really slow lately, pop-ups everywhere. I think something's wrong." "Oh no, sir, that sounds serious. We can definitely help you with that. Let me connect you with one of our senior technicians." 30 seconds of hold music, then another voice, deeper this time. "Hello, sir. I'm going to need you to download a program so I can take a look at what's happening on your computer. It's completely safe. We use it every day to help our customers." He wanted me to install remote access software. That's how these scams work. Once they're inside your computer, they can do anything. Show you fake virus scans, lock your files, access your banking information, whatever it takes to scare you into paying. I downloaded their software onto my virtual machine and gave them the connection code. "Okay, sir, I'm connecting now." Here's where things got interesting. While Michael was connecting to my fake computer, I was doing something he definitely didn't expect. Every remote access program works both ways. There's always a path back to the source. Most people don't know how to find it. I do. Within 2 minutes, I'd reversed the connection and slipped into their network completely undetected. While Michael was busy pretending to scan my fake computer for fake viruses, I was inside his real system looking around. The first thing I found made my stomach drop. A spreadsheet, hundreds of rows. Each row was a person, names, phone numbers, dates, amounts paid. The numbers ranged from $200 to $8,500. Some entries had notes. Elderly, confused, paid quickly. Refused first attempt, called back next day, converted. These weren't just random scam attempts. This was organized, professional. They were tracking success rates like any business would track sales. I scrolled down, more names, more victims. The dates went back 6 months. I did quick math on the payment column. $847,000. In half a year, they'd stolen nearly $1 million from people who thought they were protecting their computers. My hands were shaking now. This wasn't some amateur operation run by a couple of guys in a basement. The network architecture, the file structure, the whole setup screamed professional organization. I needed to see more. That's when I noticed something in their shared network folder, a subfolder labeled Security Cams. My cursor hovered over it for a second. No way it's that easy. I clicked. 12 video feed windows popped up on my screen, each showing a different angle of what looked like an office. People wearing headsets, rows of cubicles, fluorescent lights, a water cooler in the corner. I was looking at their call center, live, right now. Camera 4 showed a guy in a blue shirt talking on the phone, smiling like he was chatting with a friend. His screen was visible if I zoomed in. He was running the exact same scam on someone else. Camera 7 caught a woman laughing at something, then instantly switching back to a concerned expression as she returned to her call. These people were actors, professional liars, and I could see everything. But what I found next made everything personal. Look, I've exposed a lot of criminals over the years, romance scammers, fake charity operations, identity thieves. Each one has their own story of how they got caught. If you want to see how this one ends, and trust me, watching these scammers panic through their own cameras is worth it, stick around. I post new investigations every day, and some of them get way crazier than this. The CCTV system was almost too easy to access. Default admin password, admin123. Nobody had bothered changing it. These scammers were so confident nobody would ever find them, they'd gotten lazy with their own security. Big mistake. 12 cameras gave me eyes everywhere. Camera 1 covered the entrance and reception area. Cameras 2 through 9 showed the main floor where agents sat in neat rows of cubicles. Camera 10 watched a private office with glass walls, probably management. Camera 11 pointed at a break room. Camera 12 monitored a hallway leading to what looked like a server room. I spent the first hour just watching, learning their patterns, counting heads. 20 agents on the floor during business hours. 5 or 6 managers walking between desks, checking screens, occasionally leaning over to give instructions. Everyone wore business casual clothes. If you didn't know what they were doing, it looked like any normal customer service job. Except it wasn't. I turned up the audio feed on camera 5. The microphones weren't great, but I could hear enough. Yes, ma'am, I completely understand your concern. No, your computer is definitely infected with a Trojan virus. If we don't remove it within the next few hours, it could corrupt your entire hard drive and access your personal banking information. The woman on the other end must have asked a question because the agent paused, nodding sympathetically even though she couldn't see him. The protection plan is normally $799, but because you're a first-time customer and this is an emergency situation, I can offer you our premium service for just $499. That includes lifetime protection and 24/7 monitoring. My jaw clenched. There was no virus, no Trojan, no emergency. Just a person scared into paying for absolutely nothing. The agent finished the call and immediately high-fived the guy next to him. Through the camera, I watched him update his spreadsheet. Another sale logged. I switched to camera 7, catching a different conversation. Sir, I'm showing 17 critical errors on your system right now. See these services that are stopped? Those should be running. This is very serious. I knew exactly what he was showing the victim. The Windows Services panel. On every computer, some services run automatically and others stay stopped on purpose. It's completely normal, but to someone who doesn't know tech, it looks terrifying. The scam was simple but effective. Make people afraid. Offer a solution. Take their money. Repeat. Camera 10 gave me my first look at management. A guy in his 30s sat at the desk inside the glass office, expensive watch visible even through the camera feed. His computer had 3 monitors. The center screen showed what looked like a dashboard tracking real-time statistics, active calls, daily revenue, conversion rates. He was running this like a business, because to him that's exactly what it was. I started taking screenshots, every face, every screen I could zoom in on, building a database of who worked here, what they looked like, where they sat. The next discovery came from exploring their shared network drives. I found a folder labeled HR files. Inside were dozens of PDFs, employee contracts, resumes, scanned identification cards. These people had actual HR files, like a real company. I opened the first resume, a 24-year-old guy with a college degree in hospitality management, previous jobs at hotels and restaurants. He'd applied for a customer retention specialist position. Nowhere on his resume did it say professional scammer. The next file was similar. A woman with marketing experience, clean work history, college educated. This kept happening. File after file, I saw regular people with normal backgrounds who'd taken what they probably thought was a legitimate customer service job. Most of them likely didn't even realize it was a scam at first. By the time they figured it out, they needed the money too badly to quit. But that didn't make what they were doing okay. They were still stealing from people, still lying, still causing real harm. I went back to the live camera feeds and watched the guy from the first resume I'd read. Camera 3 had a clear view of his desk. He was on a call right now, reading from a script on his second monitor while his first monitor showed the victim's screen through remote access. Ma'am, I need you to understand how serious this is. Your social security number has been compromised. If we don't act now, enough. I muted that feed. The operations manager, I'd started thinking of him as the boss, left his glass office and walked the floor. I watched him stop at different desks, leaning over shoulders, pointing at screens, giving advice. At one station, he actually took over the call himself, demonstrating technique to a newer agent. He was training them, teaching them how to scam better. His computer was the key to everything, I realized. If anyone had detailed records of the money flow, the victim database, the company structure, it would be him. But I couldn't access his computer yet. He wasn't connected to the network in the same way the agents were. His system was segregated, probably for security. I'd need a different approach. That's when I noticed the desktop wallpaper on his computer visible through camera 10 when he returned to his office. A photo of him standing in front of a bright red luxury sports car, arms crossed, smiling like he owned the world. Bought with stolen money. Paid for by elderly victims who'd been scared into handing over their savings. I saved that image, zoomed in on his face. This guy was going down, one way or another. But first, I needed to find out where this place actually was. Getting into the operations manager's computer took 3 days of patience. He was careful, more careful than his agents. His machine had better security, stronger passwords, and he never left it unlocked when he stepped away from his desk. But everyone makes mistakes eventually. On Thursday afternoon, I watched through camera 10 as he got a phone call on his personal cell. Whatever the conversation was about, it got heated fast. He stood up, pacing his office, gesturing angrily. Then he grabbed his jacket and stormed out, leaving his computer unlocked. He was gone for 18 minutes. That was all I needed. I pivoted through the network, found his active session, and started copying everything I could reach. Financial records, payment processor logins, bank account information, corporate documents. Everything downloaded to my system while I watched camera 1 to make sure he wasn't coming back yet. When he finally returned, still looking angry, I'd already disconnected. He had no idea anyone had been inside. That night, I went through what I'd taken. The financial records made my blood boil. They weren't using one company name. They were cycling through several, changing every few months to avoid detection. TechGuard Pro Solutions was just the current one. Before that, it was PC Shield Services. Before that, Cyber Defense Plus. Each one had a professional website, fake business registration, the whole setup. The payment processing was even more sophisticated than I'd expected. They used PayPal for some transactions, Stripe for others, and direct bank transfers for the biggest amounts. Each payment got routed through a web of shell companies registered in Delaware and Wyoming, states known for easy business registration and privacy protection. But they'd made one crucial mistake. They'd kept records of everything. I found a master spreadsheet tracking all payments across all company names for the past 3 years. Every victim, every dollar, every fake service sold. The numbers made me sick. Month by month, the totals ranged from $65,000 to $140,000. Some months were higher. Tax season was apparently their best time, when people were already worried about financial security. December was strong too. People buying new computers as gifts, then searching for setup help online and finding these fake support sites instead. I did the math for just the last 6 months. $847,000 like I'd seen before. But over 3 years? $2,784,000. Nearly $3 million stolen from regular people who just wanted help with their computers. The victim files gave faces and stories to those numbers. I started reading through them, forcing myself not to skip past the painful details. Robert Patterson, age 78 from Michigan, called about slow computer performance, paid $43,000 over 4 months through multiple emergency security upgrades that never existed. Notes in his file, confused, easy to upsell, answers phone every time. Linda Chen, age 52 from Oregon, single mother, paid $8,500 for lifetime protection after being convinced hackers were accessing her banking information. Notes: scared, cried during call, authorized payment immediately. James Martinez, age 67 from Florida, retired veteran, paid $12,300 for fake ransomware removal. Notes: knows nothing about computers, very trusting, asked for discount but paid full price. Hundreds of stories like this, real people, real damage. Some victims had called back multiple times, each call logged with details about what lies worked best on them. The scammers studied their targets like predators, learning which prey was easiest to catch. I saved every file, every name, every transaction record. This was evidence, proof, the kind of documentation that could put people in prison. But then I found something that changed everything. Deep in the financial folders, I discovered emails between the operations manager and someone else, someone higher up the chain. The emails were brief, mostly about monthly performance targets and revenue goals, but one thing stood out. The operations manager reported to someone named David Chen. And David Chen wasn't just running this one call center, he owned 3 others in different states. This wasn't an isolated scam operation, it was a franchise. I followed the email trail. David Chen sent monthly goals to 4 different operations managers at 4 different locations. Each one ran their own team of agents, their own victim pipeline, their own payment processing. But all the money ultimately flowed up to Chen through a network of shell companies. The Phoenix location, because I'd finally figured out they were in Phoenix, Arizona from IP address tracking, was just one piece of a much larger criminal enterprise. Chen's emails were cold and businesslike. Q3 targets, $400K minimum across all locations. Push the enterprise packages harder, better margins. Reminder, cycle company names monthly, previous LLC showing up in scam reports. He knew exactly what he was running. This wasn't someone who'd stumbled into crime. This was organized fraud at scale, managed like any other multi-location business. I found Chen's PayPal account information in the financial records. The operations manager had to submit payment summaries every week, and Chen's personal PayPal was the collection point before money got dispersed to the various shell companies for cleaning. Chen had been sloppy in one critical way. He'd set up his PayPal account years ago using his real name, personal phone number, and actual email address. He probably figured nobody would ever get access to these internal records to see it. Wrong. I now had his full name, phone number, email, and partial bank account information. I could trace the stolen money right to his accounts, connect him directly to the fraud, prove he was the one running the whole operation. The operations manager's luxury car wallpaper made sense now. He wasn't the top of the pyramid. He was just well-paid middle management in a criminal organization. I sat back from my computer, mind racing. This was bigger than I'd thought, bigger than one office of scammers. This was a coordinated operation across multiple states, stealing millions of dollars a year from vulnerable people. I couldn't just report this to local police. This needed federal attention. FBI, Secret Service, someone with jurisdiction across state lines and the resources to take down the entire network. But federal investigations take time, months, sometimes years. Meanwhile, victims were getting scammed right now, today, while I watched through the cameras. I needed more than just evidence. I needed leverage, something immediate, something that would force accountability faster than a slow-moving federal case. That's when the idea started forming. If I could identify everyone working in that call center, every single person's real name and face, I could expose them publicly. Make it impossible for them to keep operating, create consequences before the legal system caught up. But I had hundreds of employee files and only 12 camera angles. Matching every face to every identity file would take weeks of careful observation. Unless I had help from someone on the inside, I went back to watching the camera feeds, this time paying attention to different people. Who came and went? Who had access to areas the regular agents didn't? Who might be positioned to... Wait. Camera 11, the break room feed, showed someone I hadn't really noticed before. An older woman in cleaning staff uniform, emptying trash cans and wiping down tables. She was working late, after most of the agents had left for the day. Nothing unusual about that, except she just walked over to an empty desk, looked around to make sure she was alone, pulled out a USB flash drive, and plugged it into the computer. I zoomed in as much as the camera quality allowed. She wasn't cleaning. She was copying files. What the hell? I watched the cleaning woman for 3 more nights before I understood what she was doing. Every night around 11 p.m. after the last agents left and the managers locked up their offices, she'd arrive with her cleaning cart. For the first hour, she did normal cleaning work, emptying trash, wiping desks, vacuuming floors. Nothing suspicious, but then once she was certain she was alone, the routine changed. She'd go to specific computers, not random ones, always the same 3 desks. She'd look around, check the hallway camera angle like she knew exactly where it pointed, then pull out that USB drive and plug it in. The first time I thought maybe she was stealing corporate data to sell. Industrial espionage. But that didn't make sense. What buyer would want scammer business records? The second night, I managed to set up monitoring on one of those computers remotely. When she plugged in her drive, I could see what files she was accessing. Victim databases, payment records, employee information. The exact same files I'd been copying. She was gathering evidence, just like me. But why? The third night, I made a decision that was either brilliant or incredibly stupid. Probably both. The CCTV system had intercom speakers in each room, another feature the scammers had installed for communication purposes and never bothered securing. I could speak through any of them. I waited until she was alone in the main office area, standing at one of the computers with her USB drive inserted. Camera 5 had a clear view of her face. She looked tired. Older than I'd first thought, maybe mid-50s. Her hands shook slightly as she navigated through folders. I clicked on the intercom for that room and spoke carefully, keeping my voice calm. I can help you, but I need to know what you're doing with those files. She froze completely. The mouse stopped moving. For 5 full seconds, she didn't even breathe. Then her eyes went straight to the CCTV camera mounted in the corner. She was staring right at it, right at me, even though she couldn't see me watching back. Slowly, she looked down at the keyboard. Her fingers moved, opening a notepad file. And she typed, "Who are you?" I responded through the speaker. "Someone who's been watching this place for 3 weeks. Someone who knows what they're doing here. Someone who has all the same evidence you're trying to collect." She typed faster now. "Are you with them?" "No, I'm trying to stop them. That's why I need to know, what are you planning to do with those files?" Long pause. Her hands hovered over the keyboard. I could see her face on the camera, working through whether to trust a disembodied voice coming from a speaker. Smart woman. She shouldn't trust easily. Finally, she typed, "My father." 2 words. But they changed everything. "Tell me," I said through the speaker. She typed slowly, deleting and retyping several times. Getting the words right mattered to her. 6 months ago, my father got a call. They told him his computer was hacked. He was 78 years old, didn't understand technology. They scared him, took $43,000 from him over 4 months. Different charges, different fake problems. He gave them everything. I already knew where this was going, but I let her finish. 3 weeks after the last payment, he had a heart attack. The doctor said it was stress, financial stress. He died knowing he'd been tricked, knowing he'd lost all his savings to criminals and couldn't do anything about it. My throat felt tight. I'd read so many victim files that they'd started feeling like numbers on a spreadsheet. But this was real. A daughter, a father, a preventable death. "I'm sorry," I said, and I meant it. She kept typing. "I spent 2 months finding this place, applied for the cleaning job, got hired. I've been taking files every night for 6 weeks, names, faces, money records, everything. But I don't know what to do with it. I'm not good with computers. I don't even know where this building is exactly. The job posting just said Suite 340. That hit me hard. She'd been risking herself every single night, gathering evidence with no clear plan for how to use it. Just the desperate need to do something, to make her father's death mean something. "What's your name?" I asked. She hesitated, then typed, "Patricia." "Patricia, I'm going to help you. I have more than just files. I have access to their entire network. I can see their CCTV cameras. I can track their money. I know who runs this operation and where the money goes. But you have something I don't have." "What?" "You're physically there, inside the building. That gives us options I don't have remotely." She pulled out a chair and sat down, still facing the keyboard. Typed, "What kind of options?" "I need deeper access to their systems. There are computers I can't reach remotely because they're isolated from the main network. If I could get a small device planted inside their server room, I could access everything. Every computer, every file, every phone call recording, everything needed to shut this down completely." "You want me to plant something, like a spy?" "Like someone who cares about justice. I'll mail you the device. It's tiny, looks like a normal USB charger. You plug it into their network during your cleaning shift. After that, I'll have full access. We compile everything, identify everyone working here, trace all the money, and hand it to the FBI with a complete case they can't ignore." Long pause. She was thinking it through, weighing the risk. "If they catch me," "They won't. They don't even look at you. You're invisible to them. That's your advantage." More typing. "What about my father's money? Can we get it back?" That was harder to answer, honestly. "Some of it, maybe, through victim restitution after prosecution. But Patricia, I need you to understand, this is bigger than one victim. They've stolen almost $3 million from hundreds of people. Your father was one of many. If we do this right, we can stop them from hurting anyone else. We can make sure your father's case is the evidence that brings them all down." She sat there for a full minute without moving, just staring at the screen. I watched her face on the camera. Grief, anger, determination, all fighting for space. Finally, she typed, "Tell me what to do." Relief flooded through me. "First, I need your address to mail the device, and a way to contact you that's not through their office intercom." She typed out a burner phone number and a P.O. box address. Smart. She wasn't giving me her home address, still being careful. I respected that. "I'll send it priority mail. You should have it in 3 days. Instructions will be included, simple ones. Just plug it into any Ethernet port in their server room. The one camera 12 watches, do you know where that is?" "Yes. Down the hallway past the bathrooms. They keep it locked, but I have a master key for cleaning." "Perfect. Patricia, one more thing. What was your father's name?" Robert Patterson. I'd seen that name in the files. Seen the notes the scammers had written about him. Confused, easy to upsell. They'd treated him like prey, like he wasn't a real person with a daughter who loved him. "Robert Patterson's case is going to be the first one in the FBI report," I told her. "His name, his story, everything they did to him. I promise you that." Through the camera, I saw her wipe her eyes. Then she typed one last thing. "Thank you. 3 days, Patricia, then we finish this." She unplugged her USB drive, cleared the notepad file, and returned to her cleaning cart. Watching her push it toward the next room, she looked different somehow. Less alone, less helpless. We both had something now that neither of us had before, a partner and a plan. This is the kind of stuff that doesn't make it into normal news coverage, the real stories behind the headlines. The actual people fighting back against criminals who think they're untouchable. I've got a whole catalog of these investigations, each one showing a different scam and how we took them down. Hit that subscribe button if you want to see more. These stories need to be told. The package arrived at Patricia's P.O. box 2 days later. Inside was a device about the size of a deck of cards designed to look like a standard network switch. Anyone who saw it plugged into their server rack would think it belonged there. I'd included simple instructions on a single sheet of paper. Plug into any available Ethernet port in the server room. Green light means it's working. Leave it and walk away. That night I watched camera 12 as Patricia entered the server room with her cleaning cart. Her hands were shaking. I could see it even through the grainy footage. She pulled out the device, looked at it for a moment, then scanned the network rack mounted on the wall. She found an open port near the bottom behind some cable management that made it nearly invisible unless you were specifically looking. Smart placement. She plugged it in. The green light came on. She stared at it for 3 seconds, then quickly pushed her card out and closed the door behind her. On my end, my screen lit up with connection notifications. Network access expanding. Firewalls bypassing. Systems opening up like doors, unlocking one after another. I was in, completely, totally, everywhere. The first thing I accessed was their VoIP phone system. Voice over IP. All their calls ran through digital lines that I could now tap into. Every conversation, every scam pitch, every lie told to every victim, all recorded and accessible. I pulled up the active calls list. 17 agents currently on the phone. I clicked on the first one. "Ma'am, I understand you're concerned about the cost, but think about what could happen if we don't fix this today. Your entire banking information could be compromised. Identity theft takes years to recover from." The woman on the other end sounded elderly, scared. She was asking about payment plans. "We can break it into 2 payments if that helps, but I need to start the security protocol within the next hour or the window closes and the hackers will have permanent access." Lies. All of it, but effective lies. I could hear her starting to agree. I cut the audio and moved to the next call, then the next. Each one made me angrier. These weren't criminals who looked like criminals. They sounded friendly, helpful, concerned. That's what made them so dangerous. With full network access, I dove into the HR manager's computer. Found the building lease agreement buried in administrative folders. There it was, the complete address. Crimson Peak Business Plaza, Suite 340, Phoenix, Arizona. The lease was under one of their shell company names, Vertex Solutions LLC. Monthly rent, $8,400. Leaseholder listed as Marcus Webb, the operations manager I'd been watching through cameras for weeks. I pulled up Google Maps and zoomed into the address, a modern 3-story building in a business district. Multiple suites, multiple companies. The scammers were hiding in plain sight, surrounded by legitimate businesses who had no idea what was happening in Suite 340. Now I had what I needed. Exact physical location, complete network access, financial records, and victim databases. But I still needed to connect specific crimes to specific people. That's when I went back through the old call recordings searching for one name, Robert Patterson, Patricia's father. It took 20 minutes of searching, but I found it. 4 recordings over 3 months, all with the same agent. His employee ID was in the call metadata, Agent 247, Tyler Morrison. I pulled up Tyler's HR file, 26 years old. College degree in communications, been working here for 8 months. His performance reviews praised him as excellent at building rapport and consistently meets conversion targets. They gave performance reviews for scamming people, rated employees on how well they could lie and steal. I pulled his photo from the employee database and matched it to camera 3's footage. Desk 7, right side of the room next to the window. That's where he sat every day, making calls, ruining lives, earning commission. He was the one who'd scammed Patricia's father. The one who'd taken $43,000 from a 78-year-old man who didn't understand computers. The one whose rapport-building skills had convinced Robert Patterson to keep paying for fake security services until his bank account was empty. I saved every file related to Tyler, every call recording, every payment he'd processed, every note he'd made about Robert Patterson in the victim database. Confused, easy to upsell, answers phone every time. That's how Tyler had described a scared elderly man who just needed help. I created a master evidence folder, organizing everything by priority. At the top, Robert Patterson's complete case file, with Tyler Morrison identified as the primary perpetrator. Then the broader victim database, the financial records, the corporate structure leading to David Chen, the employee identifications, everything cross-referenced and documented. This wasn't just evidence anymore. This was a prosecution package, complete, undeniable, ready for federal authorities. But federal investigations move slowly, weeks or months before arrests happen. Meanwhile, Tyler and his colleagues were on the phones right now, finding new victims, running new scams. I couldn't wait for the slow wheels of justice. Patricia couldn't wait. Robert Patterson's memory couldn't wait. These people needed to know they'd been caught, needed to feel the fear their victims felt, needed to understand that someone was watching them, documenting everything, and that consequences were coming. I looked at the live camera feeds, 20 agents working away completely unaware. Marcus in his glass office checking his revenue dashboard. Tyler at desk 7 laughing at something, probably another successful scam. Tomorrow was Friday, end of the work week, perfect timing. I picked up my phone and called Patricia's burner number. "It's done," I told her when she answered. "I have everything, complete access, all the evidence we need. I found Tyler, the one who scammed your father. I have all his calls, all his records, everything." Silence on the other end, then quietly. "What happens now?" "Now? Tomorrow I'm calling Tyler at his desk. I'm going to tell him exactly what I know, who he is, what he did, and that everything's been recorded. Then I'm going to watch through the cameras as his whole world falls apart. Can I listen? I smiled. I was hoping you'd ask that. Friday afternoon, 2:47 p.m. I had all 12 camera feeds open on my screen, Patricia on a three-way call with me and my burner phone that was about to dial the call center's main line. You ready? I asked her. I've been ready for 6 months. Her voice was steady, strong. I dialed. The phone rang twice before someone picked up. Thank you for calling TechGuard Pro. This is Tyler. How can I... Hi, Tyler. I'm looking at you right now through camera 3. You're wearing a blue polo shirt today. Nice color on you. Camera 3 showed him perfectly. He froze mid-sentence, his face going pale. The mouse stopped moving. For 3 full seconds, he didn't breathe. Who is this? Someone who's been watching your office for almost a month now. I can see your screen from here. Looks like you were about to run your usual scam on Mrs. Henderson from Ohio. Don't bother. I already warned her. His eyes went straight up to the ceiling, scanning for cameras. Found the one in the corner. Stared right at it. Yeah, that's camera 3, I confirmed. There are 11 others. I can see everything, Tyler. Every desk, every screen, every lie you've told. I don't know what you're talking about. Your real name is Tyler Morrison. You live at 4382 Maple Ridge Drive, apartment 3B. You've worked at this scam operation for 8 months, and 6 months ago you stole $43,000 from a 78-year-old man named Robert Patterson. I heard Patricia's sharp intake of breath on the line. This was the first time she'd heard his voice, the voice that had lied to her father, that had convinced him to hand over his life savings. Tyler shot up from his chair. How do I know? Because I have access to everything, Tyler. Every file, every recording, every payment you've processed. I have all 4 calls you made to Robert Patterson. Want me to play them back for you? Or should I just send them straight to the FBI? The FBI? His voice cracked. On camera, I watched him rip off his headset and sprint toward the glass office. Other agents were starting to notice something was wrong. Heads turning. Conversations pausing. Tyler burst into Marcus's office without knocking. Through camera 10, I could see him talking frantically, pointing back toward his desk, then up at the cameras. Marcus stood up fast, following Tyler's pointing finger. His face went from confused to angry to scared in about 5 seconds. Patricia, I said quietly. Watch camera 10. That's Marcus Webb, the operations manager. He's about to have a very bad day. Marcus was shouting now. I couldn't hear the audio from inside his office, but his body language said everything. He grabbed his phone, started dialing. Other managers were converging on his office. Time for the main event. I activated the intercom system for the entire office. Every speaker in every room would carry my voice. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're all comfortable because we need to have a talk about what really happens in Suite 340. The effect was instant. 20 people looking up at once, trying to figure out where the voice was coming from. Some checking their computers. Others looking at the ceiling speakers. My name doesn't matter. What matters is that I've been watching all of you through your own security cameras for the past month. I've recorded everything, every scam call, every stolen dollar, every victim you've lied to. Marcus burst out of his office, screaming at his agents to shut down their computers, but they were frozen, listening. I know all your names. I have all your faces. I've traced every payment back through your shell companies to your personal bank accounts. David Chen. Yeah, I know about you too. The franchise owner running 4 of these operations across 3 states. On camera 1, I saw the HR manager running in from the parking lot, probably called by Marcus. She looked terrified. The FBI has received a complete evidence package, every victim file, every call recording, every financial transaction. The building address, employee identifications, everything they need to file federal charges for wire fraud, conspiracy, and money laundering. Some agents were grabbing their bags. 2 were already heading for the exit. One woman at desk 12 was crying. Tyler stood in the middle of the floor looking like he might pass out. You have 2 choices. You can run, which will make things much worse when they find you, or you can stay. Cooperate when the FBI arrives and hope for a plea deal. Either way, this operation is over. Marcus grabbed a chair and hurled it at camera 4. The feed went dark, but I had 11 others. He screamed something I couldn't make out, then tried to reach camera 7, but it was mounted too high. Smashing the cameras won't help, Marcus. I already downloaded everything weeks ago. You're just breaking your own property now. The office was chaos. Half the agents were packing up. Others were on their phones, probably calling lawyers or family. The HR manager was at her computer, frantically trying to access files that I'd already locked her out of. Camera 11 caught 3 agents in the break room arguing about what to do. One was insisting they should all leave immediately. Another was saying they should delete everything before the FBI showed up. The third was just sitting there with his head in his hands. For those of you who are thinking about deleting files, don't bother. Everything's been backed up to servers you can't access. Every file you delete is already preserved as evidence. Marcus had given up on the cameras and was now at his computer, typing frantically. Probably trying to move money or delete records. Too late. I'd locked him out of the financial systems 2 hours ago. My phone buzzed. Patricia's burner number, but on a different line. I answered. "Did you really send everything to the FBI?" she asked. Her voice was shaking now, not with fear, with something else. Hope, maybe, or relief. "Sending it right now," I told her. "Complete package. Robert Patterson's case is the first file they'll see. Your father's name, Tyler's voice on the recordings. Every dollar they took from him. Everything." Silence. Then, "Thank you." On the cameras, the exodus was continuing. 7 agents had left already. More were heading out. Marcus was still at his computer, but his hands had stopped moving. He just sat there, staring at his screen, probably seeing his whole criminal empire collapsing in real time. Tyler was one of the last to leave. He grabbed his bag, took one final look around the office, and walked out. Camera 1 caught his face as he passed. He looked 10 years older than he had 30 minutes ago. "Patricia, it's done. They're scattering like roaches when you turn on the lights. What happens now? Now we wait for the FBI to finish what we started." 4 days later, Patricia sent me a text message at 6:23 a.m. "Turn on Channel 12 News." I grabbed my laptop and pulled up the Phoenix local news stream. The headline banner read, "FBI raids tech scam operation in Phoenix." There it was, live footage of federal agents in dark windbreakers with FBI in yellow letters walking in and out of Crimson Peak Business Plaza. The camera zoomed in on Suite 340. Yellow crime scene tape across the entrance, agents carrying boxes of seized computers and servers. The reporter's voice narrated over the footage. "What authorities are calling one of the largest tech support scam operations ever dismantled in Arizona. The FBI confirms that multiple arrests have been made, with charges including wire fraud, conspiracy, and money laundering. Sources say the operation stole millions from victims across the United States over a 3-year period." I watched Marcus Webb being led out in handcuffs, head down, refusing to look at the cameras. Then the HR manager, looking completely broken. 3 more agents I recognized from the CCTV feeds, all in cuffs, all heading into unmarked FBI vehicles. My phone rang. "Patricia, are you watching?" "Yeah, we did it." Her voice cracked. "We really did it." Over the next 2 weeks, the story kept developing. David Chen, the franchise owner, was arrested at his home in Nevada. Federal prosecutors announced charges against 17 individuals connected to the operation. The local news ran interviews with victims who'd been scammed, their faces blurred but their stories heartbreaking. One woman talked about losing her retirement savings. A man described how the scammers had convinced him his grandson was in danger unless he paid immediately. An elderly couple explained how they'd taken out a loan to pay for fake security services. Each story made me angrier. But each story also validated what we'd done. The FBI called me 3 times. Professional, respectful, asking detailed questions about my methods, my evidence collection, my timeline. I'd expected them to be upset about the unconventional approach, hacking into a criminal network without authority, conducting surveillance without warrants, taking justice into my own hands. Instead, the lead agent told me, "Your documentation is some of the cleanest evidence we've ever received. Everything time-stamped, cross-referenced, organized by priority. You basically handed us a complete prosecution package, made our job significantly easier." They asked if I'd testify if needed. I said yes. Patricia had her own meetings with federal prosecutors. They wanted her testimony about her father's case, about the evidence she'd been gathering, about everything she'd witnessed while working in that building. 6 weeks after the raid, she called me with news. They're offering plea deals to most of the agents. Tyler took one. Wire fraud. Conspiracy. He's facing 3 to 5 years, has to pay restitution, permanent record. How do you feel about that? Long pause. I wanted him to suffer more. I wanted him to lose everything like my father did. But then I realized he already has. No legitimate company will ever hire him with a fraud conviction. His life is basically over, and my father gets justice. That's what matters. 3 months later, the victim restitution process began. Federal prosecutors had seized bank accounts, frozen assets, recovered money from payment processors. Not everything. Chen and Marcus had already moved a lot of the money into hidden accounts or spent it, but enough to return something to the victims. Patricia received a check for $3,800, her father's estate. Most of what he'd lost recovered through the criminal proceedings. She called me the day it arrived. "It's not about the money," she said quietly. "It's about proving he wasn't just another fool who got tricked. He was a victim of professional criminals, and now everyone knows it. The court documents say so. The FBI says so. The news says so. His name is cleared. Robert Patterson deserved better than what happened to him. But at least now his story helped stop them from hurting anyone else. Thank you for everything. For seeing me on those cameras and deciding to trust me instead of ignore me. For caring about my father's case when you could have just reported everything anonymously and walked away. You did the dangerous part. You planted that device. You risked yourself every night gathering evidence. You're the one who made this possible." The final piece came months later. Patricia sent me a video file with no explanation, just, "I thought you should see this." I opened it. CCTV footage from camera 3 dated the night before the FBI raid. Timestamp, 11:47 p.m. The office was empty, dark except for emergency lighting. Patricia walked in with her cleaning cart, but she wasn't cleaning. She walked to the middle of the room and pulled something from her pocket. A framed photo. She set it on desk 7, Tyler's old desk, and just stood there for a moment looking at it. The camera angle wasn't perfect, but I could make out the image in the frame. An older man with kind eyes and a gentle smile. Her father. She said something I couldn't hear through the silent footage. Her lips moved for maybe 20 seconds. Then she picked up the photo, held it close, and walked out. The next morning, the FBI would arrive. The operation would end. Justice would begin. But in that moment, it was just a daughter saying goodbye to her father in the place where his life had been stolen from him. I closed the video file and sat back. The cameras were gone now, the office dismantled, the scammers scattered, some in prison, others awaiting trial, all of them facing consequences they'd thought they'd never see. Justice isn't always fast, it isn't always complete. People don't always get back everything they lost. But sometimes, with the right timing, the right tools, and the right motivation, you can make the people who hurt others panic. You can expose them. You can stop them. And sometimes, that's enough. This investigation took 4 weeks from start to finish. I've got dozens more like it in different stages right now. Some are crypto scammers. Some are fake investment schemes. One involves a romance scam network I've been tracking for 3 months. If you made it this far, you're clearly interested in watching criminals get what they deserve. Subscribe and turn on notifications. You don't want to miss what happens when the next group of scammers realizes someone's been watching them.